Welcome everyone to the webinar today on how to heal the emotional root cause of your Candida symptoms and many other symptoms and patterns that you have been either dealing with or you're not even aware of yet your whole life. So it is possible to fully heal your Candida symptoms. And through the core emotional healing process that I'll be reviewing today, you will feel and live in a whole new way than you've ever even known. So a lot of times people say, I want to just get back to how I used to be. Well, really, this way of healing will help you feel different than you've ever felt. To really truly feel happy from within, empowered, fulfilled, and truly loved and supported. So my name is Alicia Miller, and I am the founder of Core Emotional Healing, and I'm also a Candida expert. And today I'm going to share with you all how you can listen to what your symptoms, which are actually messages from your wounded inner child. So I gave you a little snippet of what your symptoms, the emotional root cause of your symptoms are, if you haven't looked into it yet, or if you don't know about my work yet. They're actually messages from your wounded inner child. And so this way you can start listening to what your symptoms or your inner child is trying to tell you. And then today I'm going to show you what it takes to heal the emotional cause of your symptoms. So I'm super excited to be with you today, if you're here live or if you're watching the recording. Either way, I'm so excited and welcome to this training. It's so important. If you haven't started looking at emotional healing, or you may have started it, and this is really my goal today, is to help you see the value and fully commit to it. So go ahead, if you just joined us, if you're here with me live, go to the chat box. We've already been welcoming everyone. Just write your name and where you're from. Just want to see where everyone is from, calling in today from. So I'll just give you a minute. I have been working with people all around the world for, well, I guess for 10 years. So I've been working on Skype and Zoom when Zoom started actually many years ago. And so I just absolutely love connecting. I love the technology that we have available to connect with each other no matter where we live. So we have Ireland, Maine in the US, South Africa, Europe, Texas in the US, France. I'm here in Costa Rica. And the sun is behind some dark clouds. I'm gonna pray that it doesn't start raining again. We just had like a blip of sunshine. It's been raining here for days now. And actually it usually doesn't rain this time of year, but we were on kind of getting hit by a hurricane that was just north of us in Nicaragua. It's a pretty bad hurricane, so we're still getting the effects of that. It is raining a little. Just pray that it doesn't get windy and we stay connected. Okay. Clearwater, Florida. Welcome. So I'm very excited to have you all here. And if any of you listening, welcome as well, wherever you are. So when you stay to the end of this webinar, you listen to the whole webinar, I'm going to answer all of your questions. I'm also going to share a really special offer at the end. And also, I hope you're enjoying your free gift that I gave you when you signed up for this webinar on cultivating your inner guidance. So I'd love to hear if you've started using it and if you've discovered anything with exploring the questions in the in the handout. So if you want to let me know in the chat box, go ahead. And just before we get started, couple housekeeping items. Number one, make sure to turn off any distractions. Yeah, my dog's barking. Oh, good. You used it. Would love to hear if it helped you gain clarity. Yes, the dogs and me laughing. So I was just about to say, turn off all your distractions, and then my dogs barked. There's things that we can't control. This is really important also, is to release the things that we cannot control, accept them. Sounds like the Serenity prayer, right? Anyway, so again, just turn off your cell phones, close Facebook. I know we're all addicted to social media and checking things. Close your emails. Just really be present here. And, think about it as being present for your inner child. This is really all about your inner child. And I'm going to share really valuable things for you and your inner child. So you don't want to miss out on any of the information. So just make sure you have something to take notes with, a pen, paper. If you take notes with your computer, that's fine too. And you're going to get a lot out of this. So again, write it down. The things that really stand out to you. There's going to be things that stand out to you now, and then when you revisit it, like with anything, you'll hear more, and other things may stand out later too. And yeah, so when you stay to the end of this call, I'm going to go over the whole process, what it takes, what to expect, and how to heal the emotional cause of your Candida, and so much more. It's so much more than just your symptoms. And then I'm going to invite you to my Healing Candida class with a very special offer and gift. And so when it comes to healing the emotional root cause of your symptoms, you don't have to worry if you have Candida or not. So this can be one thing that can prevent people from doing this core emotional healing process is well, I'm not sure if I have Candida, or my Candida is not, a normal type of Candida or symptom. It's really not about Candida. So don't worry about that. It's just one of many symptoms that you'll be healing. It's like a bonus. Through the process, your symptoms will go away, but your symptoms are there and they keep coming back, and they may keep coming back or flare up at different times because of the emotional pain that still needs to be addressed. So, but it's really not about the Candida. I work with all kinds of symptoms. Candida, in what you most likely know about me, is I've gone through it myself. I'll tell my story if you don't know it today. I work with Candida because it's so clear and such a emotional condition. I mean, a disclaimer to that statement is it's not always emotional. Of course, there's going to be imbalance of our Candida through different things like mercury toxicity or breast implants. And those are things that kind of are temporary, like something like obvious is causing it, and then you need to detox from something, and then it goes away. Most likely everyone here has been dealing with it for a long time and treating it. And I want to hear about all of you as well. That's really when you know it's emotional. You've been dealing with it, you've been treating it, it just doesn't go away. I'm going to share with you other things that will confirm that it's emotional, but most likely you have a sense that yours is emotional, also because you fit the other things that I'm going to recover today as well. So even after your Candida symptoms go away, you will continue to apply the same process over time. So like I said, the Candida is kind of just alerting you that there's something for you to look at. But once your Candida symptoms go away because you're taking care of it, then it allows the whole healing process to unfold over time, where every area of your life will get better and better as you apply the process with all the other things that come up that you weren't aware of. So we'll go over that as well. But if you want, please go ahead, for everyone who's on live, write in the chat box what you want to heal from and what you're ready to let go of and what you want for yourself. And this is your way of committing and setting your intentions. Setting intentions are so powerful. I said, I will do whatever it takes to heal from these symptoms. I made that commitment with many different things in my life. And so when you set your intentions, it really helps bring support for you. So you know that this is possible for you as well. I want to heal from pleasing others. Wow, we got right to it. Yes. Wow, it's such a direct correlation in a codependency, which I'm going to cover, pleasing others, being there for others while you're neglecting yourself is all about the Candida pattern. And other people who do that you don't have to have Candida, but when you do, there's a direct correlation between that. So what you want to heal from, what you're ready to let go of, and what you want for yourself. I want to heal from digestive issues, being in hurtful relationships with men, and feel well for the first time. I want to be free from fear around what I can and cannot eat. I want to let go of the pain of relationships, the pain of painful relationships. How about that? Because there's also healthy, supportive relationships, or maybe the pain of past relationships would be a good clarification for you. The sun is peeking through again. And I want to feel my success in body and financial goals. Nice. Okay. Sounds good. I want to heal from chronic Candida, digestive issues. I want to let go of, I'm just going to move this chat box up. Oops. I want to let go of my pain from the past relationships. Yes. I want to heal from chronic Candida, digestive issues, never feeling good enough, and procrastination. And I want to feel free. Excellent. And I want all of that for you, all of you, because it truly is possible. I have been working with clients ever since I've healed 8 years ago. And I have seen people completely transform when they never thought it could be possible. The exciting part is that so much comes from the healing process that you're not even aware of. So I want to be better at setting boundaries. Yes. Yes, feel good enough will allow me to accept myself and attract healthy relationships and allow me to meet my goals. I want to heal from thrust so I can enjoy healthy sex life. I feel I've done so much work and the only thing left is fear of getting pregnant. Yeah, good. All right, thank you. And feel free to keep sharing. Eye floaters, I also had eye floaters, yes. That was a part of my Candida. Again, I want to I highly recommend always getting tests from, you can do like medical intuitives, naturopaths. Muscle testing is good too. So it's not always, when I say like, I had it, doesn't mean you do as well, or that it's true for you. So just make sure you get confirmation of what it could be. Great. And sometimes you may go and they just can't find anything, and that's kind of confirmation that it's emotional. Eye floaters could be parasites as well. Okay, so yeah, muscle testing is great. So here's the thing, core emotional healing, the process that I developed, lays the foundation for everything else to work. You'll, once you apply it, gain clarity with what's good for you, what's not good for you, what you want, what you don't want. So you'll find yourself not spinning your wheels or looking outside of yourself so much in confusion and relying on other people to tell you what to do or what's best for you, which creates more work. So when you're not connected to your truth and clarity, I hope the rain's not too loud. My pool is right there, so it could be louder because of that. But so when you're connected to your truth and clarity, you don't have to work so hard because you know what's good for you and you're in alignment with it. And then you'll also know what works for you with food. And then you don't have to think about it again or stress about it again. You'll know what works for you with work and relationships. When you form a supportive relationship with your body, and so I want to just pause there because it's moving you away from feeling bad about yourself and beating yourself up, or at times hating your body or being frustrated with your symptoms. This is a shift, a mindset shift, moving you from that to listening to your body, knowing that your body is supporting you. So forming a supportive relationship with your body and your symptoms, which is also forming a supportive relationship with your inner child and your emotions. So when you do that, you will actually feel supported. And then from there, you feel that you deserve to be supported. And then from there, you know that you can ask for what you need. And then you'll receive it once you learn how to ask from supportive people. Sound good? So that's what happens as a result of doing the core emotional healing process. And life keeps getting better and better and better. Again, like than you've ever imagined. Like I had no idea my life could actually be this good. I had no idea I could live the way I do now or feel the way I do now. So it has taken a lot of work and consistency with my healing. And I have never given up or settled for anything that wasn't good for me. I have stayed in unhealthy situations out of unconscious patterns for sure, even after I healed from Candida. But I didn't never give up. I would always keep listening to myself, my feelings, and do more healing. So thank you. Someone said congrats. So yes. So are you excited to learn more? So just let me know. You can scream it out loud or write it in the chat box. I hope you are, because this is exciting. This can make a huge, massive difference in your life. It can be a real turning point for you towards your true health, your true happiness. Yes. You're welcome. Yes. Enthusiasm always helps. And I don't mean false enthusiasm to shift how you're feeling. I mean, really like being excited and looking forward to doing something for yourself. So before I talk about the core emotional healing process and what it takes to heal, great. I'm going to share my journey. Then someone just said it makes her happy to see, that she's able to do it. And I want to share my journey and how I eventually healed, also to give you all an example of kind of what I've gone through and give you hope as well. Because ultimately it led me to develop the core emotional healing process, which was always my purpose. I've got signs along the way my whole life that it was meant to be, but my journey isn't just about my journey. It's the journey that many of you have already experienced and are experiencing. So everyone I work with relates to my story, which is also confirmation that Candida has a very specific emotional pattern and a very clear path to healing, because everyone that I work with says exactly the same thing. So you can be comforted in knowing that you're not alone and that these things all are a part of something that everyone goes through. There's like a very specific emotional reason and pattern of why you have it. So then you'll know, okay, this is what I need to focus on and heal to, and then it will shift all of the same patterns and symptoms that you're all dealing with. So my story, since high school, I was always proving myself to try to feel loved. Sorry, I had a bug on me, living in the jungle. So proving, but I didn't know it. So I was overcompensating for childhood wounds that I didn't even know I had. I became a perfectionist, an overachiever, a sex addict, alcoholic. So that is like one thing that I've come up with. I was only drinking to get drunk so I could have sex, so I could feel loved. So that's why it wasn't really about the alcohol. It was about the end result for me. So I'd go out to get drunk to have sex. I also developed an eating disorder in high school. I developed body dysmorphia. It got worse in college, especially when I wanted to become a model, which I did for a little bit in New York City. I was extremely skinny, and I still didn't see that I was skinny. I was in relationships with men who treated me poorly, who used me for sex. In my 20s, I had a lot of drifters using me for sex and money, who lied to me, who were emotionally abusive and absent. I was in corporate sales. I was one of the top salespeople in the country, in the US. And I just felt amazing. No, I didn't. I thought I did. It was like all external validation and a lot of distractions. Let's just say my whole life was a distraction. The achieving, going out partying, buying things, being fabulous, looking perfect. So I had a lot of external validation for my body, my clothes, my achievements, how much money I made, how much fun I had. I even got breast implants when I was 21. And then I got another set 10 years later that were even bigger. I just on a side note, I did remove them 6 years ago. And that was a, kind of totally loving myself act. I had completely loved myself fully at that point. But back in my 20s, I was so disconnected from myself and from my emotions. I had chronic, in my early 20s, I had chronic Candida. Oh my God, I love the howler monkeys. BV, bloating, constipation, brain fog, yeast infections. I was treating everything almost on a monthly basis at first with medication. And then I started discovering the diet in my early 20s. I stopped eating gluten and dairy for like 20 years. I was off and on with the diet and supplements. I did a ton of cleanses, fasts. I was addicted to those. Eventually, I became really addicted to cleansing and fasting and detoxing. Off and on for like 15 years, including juice and water fasts. I also did Ayurvedic cleanses and liver flushes. I actually made detox my full-time business, and I became a detox consultant in Thailand. I quit my corporate sales job, sold everything that I owned because I started doing subconscious healing actually when I was 30. So I started this deeper emotional healing when I was 30. And then when I was 34, I moved to Thailand because I had shed so much of the falseness that I was living from. But I still was really unaware of a lot of my repressed emotions and how to heal my inner child at that point. So I kind of replaced one persona and one addiction with another. And I know a lot of you can probably relate, or you see people who are healthy and spiritual and who still are needing to be validated. So that was me. I was a detox consultant in Thailand, thinking I kind of knew everything. I was addicted to detoxing and being perfect with my diet, being perfect with my body. I still had bulimia. I was still binging and emotional eating. So it was all over the place. I thought I was healing and I was attempting to heal, but there was so much I wasn't aware of. I finally admitted to myself when I was in Thailand that I had systemic Candida and I had a problem because I was kind of dabbling with treating it with being strict on the diet and doing supplements here and there. But when I was there, my brain fog was so bad, I couldn't even finish a creative project that I was doing, which was like my dream at that point. And let me know if you can still hear me okay, if the rain is too loud. I think it's going to be okay. Just pray that it doesn't get windy. You don't hear the rain. You hear me though, right? Okay. So I was doing a lot of detoxes and cleanses, but I stopped doing them at one point because I was like, I have a major Candida problem. I couldn't think clearly. I got the flu immediately. I drank like one glass of wine and I was like, oh my God. And then someone confirmed, I got kind of a holistic practitioner who confirmed I had systemic Candida. So that's when I said, I will do whatever it takes to heal. And then it was like one thing after another. Someone, without asking, gave me the Body Ecology Diet book. Then the next day, someone who was an expert in Candida, who was also a psychologist, saw me and just was leaving that night to go back to the US. And he said, this is what you're meant to do. And at that point, I had no clue. I still hadn't done any healing, but I knew so much about it intuitively and from my experience that he's like, this is what you're meant to do. So I started just experimenting with everything. I stayed true and strict with the diet, which I called the anti-pleasure diet, which I'm sure you all can relate to. I'm gonna move this closer. Rain's coming in. Okay. And And then I was trying all the healers on the island that I lived in. There was like 30 different healers, and I was doing a lot. I did all kinds of healing modalities, and I did family constellation and energy healing and shamanic healing and you name it. And I still couldn't get to it. I could still see, oh my God, it's raining really hard. I could still see when my symptoms flared up. So even though I was still doing the diet, I saw the emotional connection. I just didn't know what it was about yet, but I saw when my symptoms would flare up, when my bloating got really, really bad, when I would get a yeast infection, and what kind of my emotional state was. I felt kind of like I was, I needed someone to rescue me. I couldn't take care of myself. I felt hopeless, helpless, frustrated, things like that. Someone asked, was there any pre-symptoms? What do you what do you mean by that? I had a ton of symptoms before my 20s, if that's what you mean. Throughout my childhood, I had a lot of strep throat and things like that. Oh, yes, childhood, yeah. Strep throat, I had constipation. Yeah. Okay. But I got confirmation in my early 20s when I would get chronic BV and yeast infections. Yeah, constipation my whole life. There was many things that I thought it was just me. That's just how I was, you know. I just thought I was always an emotional eater. I always had constipation. Move it closer. So I left Thailand and I went to San Francisco, and all my bloating came back, and a ton of triggers happened when I went back to the US with family. And I was in a really, really dark time. I went into severe depression. A lot of stuff got triggered. And so I ran away to Costa Rica and did a 30-day water fast to feel better. And that was kind of one of my completions in terms of experimenting with detox, I would say, and different modalities. I wanted to experiment and experience it all so I knew what worked and what didn't. The 30-day water fast was interesting in different ways, but it definitely didn't help. After that, I went back to the US, and you know, my bulimia was still there, and emotional eating. And then I entered into a very complicated relationship with a man after staying single for 7 years. So you remember when I said when I was 30, I went to do a lot of the healing on my subconscious? It was because I married a man when I was 30 for 3 months who was a really extreme narcissist. It was very abusive. I'll answer your question in a minute. Yeah, so my pattern was always with narcissists in terms of men. They were all narcissists. My father was a narcissist. My mom was a different type of narcissist. So my whole life was with narcissists. I specialize in narcissistic abuse now, and I work with codependents, and that's my specialty, and that's why I work with Candida as well. So the narcissistic patterns can be so hard to break and so tricky, and they show up in many different relationships, just not only romantic, but bosses and healers. Oh my gosh, friends. So yeah. So I was with this guy. I wouldn't even say a relationship. It was very complicated. entanglement that was just crazy. But he looked different and better than the rest. But it was just as painful. And so I was single for 7 years, and I only focused on my healing. I dedicated my life to my healing. And so after 7 years and doing all that, I thought I was good. I thought I was good to get back into a relationship, and it was just the same. And so even on a mostly Candida diet, all of my symptoms, like the ones that I was still dealing with, which was mainly bloating, constipation, and yeast infections, raged when I felt the pain from him, of his rejection, his disconnection, his narcissism, basically. So one night after a major emotional event with him, I left his place and I went home, and I was laying on my bathroom floor, bawling, crying. And my bloating was so big at that point that I looked like I was pregnant, and yeast literally was pouring out of me, like extreme. It was like my body's like, I'm going to make this so extreme that you notice. And that's when I knew. I was like, this is emotional. This is like 100% emotional for me at this point, which is something I always knew. I just was able to see it more clearly. And I knew it wasn't about what I was eating, and it was only about what I was and wasn't feeling, and what I was allowing, and how I wasn't taking care of myself. So once I solely focused, I just was like, I'm only gonna focus on my inner child. Can relate to the pregnant symptom. Yeah. Yeah, when you're not allowing good to come to you. Yeah, there's so many triggers, like when there's so many parts of this. There's so many ways that we all have responded to emotional neglect and abuse. Not only emotional, of course, there's sexual and physical, but our parents emotionally neglected us. It was more about how they felt and making sure that they were okay, or what they wanted, which is the role reversal. Really, they're supposed to be there for us and making sure we're okay, what we wanted. And the ways that we respond to that is so many things. So once I focused on my inner child and what was getting triggered in this relationship, which was all kinds of unresolved feelings and wounds and beliefs from my inner child of not feeling lovable or good enough. And so being with that guy made me feel those things from childhood. So once I focused on healing my inner child and giving her what she always needed, it was a process that I had been engaged with, but I knew I needed to do more of, and in ways I needed to be in at that time in my life, and what I was allowing and what I needed to not allow anymore. After I did all of that consistently, and I took care of my feelings, all of my symptoms went away and they never came back. My emotional eating went away. And that was like a bonus. I didn't even know that was a symptom that was going to go away. And like for the first time in my life, I just ate when I was hungry, and that was it. It was really amazing. And then not only that, 3 months later, I met my soulmate, Doug Miller, PhD, who for the first time in my life, gave me the love and support I never had and I always needed. So even though my symptoms were gone at that point, the container of true love and safety that we have together brought up many, many other deeper pains that we needed to work through. So it was very delicious getting the love from Doug. It still is. It's still very new and exciting for both of us because it's what we never had. But, we worked through really intense pain and patterns and ways that we weren't aware of, that were hurting each other. So I'm sharing that because, like I said, the process continues. And then you'll discover more and more things coming up for you to deal with, to process, to heal, to be with, to give to yourself, that will help you be more fully in your power and your gifts and your love, and be able to receive more love and give more true love, not ego love, which is trying to feel loved, but you're just being present for others. If you have children, your life could change. You would change your children's life by being present for their emotions without it triggering yours, and breaking these patterns that keep getting passed down from generations to generations to generations. So now, exactly 7 years later, let me take a note on children. Doug has two grown children, and I was able to help their family dynamic and re-parent his grown children as well through this process. So it has affected everyone in our life in a very positive way, and it continues to as well. So I see your question about feeling the delicious feeling I have with this new relationship. I want to get to the webinar and the core emotional healing process, so I can maybe get to that later. But I want to stay focused on the your questions as it relates to this process. Okay, so now exactly 7 years after we met exactly like 7 years ago. We are living in paradise in Costa Rica. It feels like a dream come true, and it actually is a dream come true. I've always wanted exactly what we have here. This was like way out there though, like eventually, maybe one day. And now we made it happen pretty quickly. We also now work together, and we support people in a very deep way together through the core emotional healing process and other programs that we have together, online group programs. We have in-person immersions, and we have fun every day with each other. We both have healed so much that our inner children are playing with each other, and my creativity has blossomed. I didn't even know I was creative for most of my life. I have a hobby with photography, and I'm acknowledged and appreciated by many people for my photography, for like capturing the beauty and the magic that we have here in the jungle. A lot of things come through my photos as well. So we are showered, and I'm getting showered right now with blessings daily. We continue to receive support from so much, like from life itself here. We continue to receive things whenever we need them, and we receive things from supportive people. We now have friends who meet us on all levels, and we haven't had that before in our life. And we still do work. We still work through some tough stuff. It's still, we're still working through stuff at times, but it doesn't happen that often. And we've come a very, very long way, where now we handle most things with laughter, or we can hold space more now for each other's pain. And we don't, we can process things pretty quickly. So it is all possible. Go ahead and in the chat box, tell me if you haven't already, what parts of my story you resonated with. And I really hope it doesn't rain too much more or get more windy. All right, almost all of my story, someone related to addiction, getting drunk to have sex, to feel loved. You know, in Thailand, I detoxed from that pattern as well. So I actually stopped doing that in Thailand. I also stopped drinking for that period in Thailand completely. Emotional eating. The elevated aspect, yeah, of where, you know, the elevated aspect of my spirit of like where I'm at now. You know, other things that change as I used to work. That's another codependent pattern is even before we moved here 2 years ago, I was working all the time and I was addicted to work as well. So I was my work was kind of my last codependent pattern blind spot, I think. I say I think because you never know, but I would be always there for my clients and at my own expense or neglecting my own needs or feel pressure or not even feel pressure. It was like, that's all I wanted to do because that's where I derived my self-worth and value most of my life. And so now I don't work that much. I created a way for me to have more space in my daily life to do other things, to play with my dogs and take naps. And really what we do here is we live based on how we feel completely. So if we're tired, we sleep. If I have energy, I might dance in the pool. I love to make up songs and be playful, like with my dogs. And so it's more of just this natural spontaneity of it's not even taken care of. It's just being myself. And in doing that, it's taking care of me and my inner child. So the core emotional healing process takes effort. It's the most rewarding path you'll ever take. I'm going to teach you and just review what the process is like. I'm not going to teach it right now. There's, I already taught an online course that will teach you that. But I'll just review what it is. But I want to review it so you can fully commit to healing your inner child so you can experience true fulfillment. Before I go and review the process, I want to talk about symptoms because I know you're all trying to resolve symptoms or multiple symptoms and nothing's worked so far. Like I said, I was also trying to resolve two main symptoms, which was my Candida symptoms and unavailable men. And I didn't know that other symptoms were even symptoms. I didn't even realize that emotional eating was a symptom, or not being able to eat gluten and dairy was a symptom. I just thought my body couldn't take that. But now, you know, I've been eating pizza for years. I love pizza. I can eat anything I want. Other addictions fell away as well, including cleansing and yoga, which for me, I thought I needed to do it every morning, but it was more of like it's more of my perfectionist and like trying to do things outside of myself that I thought I needed to do. And I think that was put in the chat box. It's true. It's like, it was always like, oh, this is what I should do, right? But I learned I don't need to do anything in the morning. Actually, what I love to do in the morning the most is like pet my dogs and drink coffee with my husband and look at the sunrise and take photos. And then, other type of movement works better for me at different types or different times of the day even. So. So let's talk about symptoms. Let me just show you a slide real quick because I want you to write down. I'm going to show you some slides. You can take some pictures of the slides that you want to remember. So feel free to like have your phone or do a screenshot or whatever when I share my screen. I gotta move things around here. Okay. I don't have a team to help me with this. Expand this. Okay. So your symptoms are a gift, and your inner child's feelings hold the key to your healing. So I want you to just take note of this. These are examples of other things that are symptoms. So if you want to just take a screenshot, you can write in the chat box, you can write in your notebook, what are your symptoms? There can be other symptoms that are, besides what's on here. But, anywhere from chronic physical symptoms like the ones that I discussed that I had, other symptoms. I know I work with a lot of clients who get rashes, eczeema, random rashes that are not eczema. They just all of a sudden have rashes. So there's a lot of different symptoms. Like I said, also during this process, other symptoms may come up that are also messages about something that is happening for you to be aware of, or old pattern or old ways of being that is creating pain. Ways that you're not feeling your emotions or accessing your repressed emotions fully can result in symptoms. It can be symptoms that flare up or chronic symptoms that are always there. Headaches, migraines, those are other ones that are not on this list. But also depression and anxiety. I've worked with people with chronic depression and anxiety that were on medication that eventually went off. ADD can be a result of this, just feeling scattered, unfocused. OCD, insomnia, eating disorders, emotional eating, perfectionism, overachieving, addictions, compulsions, codependency, and people pleasing. We talked, you can see like the commonality with Candida and a lot of these things that we all have or have had or are dealing with or working with. Feeling reactive, easily triggered, lonely, sad, confused, low self-esteem, overworking, stressed out, feeling pressure, pushing yourself, looking for outside approval, being in relationships that don't support you, and having money issues, never having enough. So I'm going to go to the chat box. Hemorrhoids is definitely an issue. And again, it doesn't have to be related. I mean, hemorrhoids is definitely a symptom. It doesn't have to be related to Candida. So don't think that these are all Candida symptoms. These are all symptoms of a wounded inner child. So I have had clients working with a lot of, working through the process who will get hemorrhoids. And there's always a message with each symptom. Shiny, glassy eyes. Anyone else have can relate to other symptoms, even beyond the physical? Distorted. What is distorted? Skin rashes. So it's good to take note of your symptoms. Things that you may not have considered to be a symptom are symptoms. So you may look at your checklist and feel it's normal to look at it and start to feel bad about yourself, but don't worry, there is nothing wrong with you. When you realize these are just symptoms, it's not about you and it's not your fault. These are all just symptoms of your emotional wounds, traumas and wounds, and ways you reacted to them. So feeling stuck in life, definitely. Not knowing what you want, which creates money issues, right? Like you start spinning your wheel, or you can't make the right decisions for yourself and you go down the wrong path. Distorted image of your face and body. Yeah, shape shifting. I get that. Yeah. So that can be a part of body dysmorphia. Constant doubt. Yeah. When you're not connected to your feelings and you have repressed emotions, you're disconnected from your guidance system. Just gave you a little bit of what we're going to cover in a little bit. So I'm going to go over today. So hopefully you can all stay. We'll probably go over for maybe another half an hour. And if you can't stay, it's okay. You'll get the recording. Trying to prove yourself. Yes. Another thing to know that can help you right now is that not only there's nothing wrong with you and these are not your fault that you have these symptoms, is also you can stop treating them individually. What does that mean? Okay, so you can stop treating them individually means that you may be in a 12-step program seeing medical doctors, natural doctors, psychologists, psychiatrists, health coaches, eating coaches, hypnotherapy, life coaches, business coaches, spiritual and energy healers. But you may never get to the root cause. So once you get to the root cause and go through the core emotional healing process, a lot of these things will go away, so you're not having to treat them. But for now, do what you need to do. Don't stop doing all of those things. Even when you start doing the emotional healing process, continue to do what you need to do. Okay, like continue to eat the foods that don't cause your body to react until you get to the healing, right? Then you won't need to control your food anymore. You may still need to take anxiety medication. You still may need to meditate, which can be a way of treating. And all of these things can be good too, like meditation and yoga, but sometimes you may need to do them more to treat a symptom. Like if you have anxiety, to meditate, or you feel overwhelmed or you're stressed out, you may need to meditate. Well, a lot of these things you won't need to do because those things will go away. You go to your 12-step meetings, if you're in any 12-step meetings, you still may need them until you can do the healing that will release the need to use those things, including your codependency, which I know a lot of people who go to Al-Anon, which is good, and it's a great first stage, to start controlling it. And then once you heal the root cause of it, then you won't need to go anymore. So once you learn how to take care of your emotional needs, many things that you need right now to feel better or to control the symptom, you won't need to do or use anymore after you're healed. So instead of focusing on getting rid of the symptoms, focus on giving yourself what you've always needed through this process, which is emotional support. So that's what the core emotional healing process is all about, learning how to support yourself emotionally. One question is, how will I know that and when the core emotional healing started? So I think your question was in relationship to how will you know what you don't need to do anymore? Is that right? It's more of the symptoms won't be there anymore. So like your overwhelm will be less, your anxiety will be less. So the things that you're using to feel better, there will be no need for them, but it's not that you're going to think about that. It's that those things aren't there anymore. And this happens over time. This happens as you're going through the process over time. So it's not all going to shift immediately, but just know these things will fall away because these are symptoms that will go away when you heal the core, the root cause of them. Okay. So don't be angry at your body or your symptoms. They are communicating with you. If you get anything from this today, that would be the most valuable thing for you, is to shift away from being angry at your body to shift into listening and loving and supporting your body, because your body is helping you with your healing and your growth. I'm going to give you something today to use. So I'm going to go back to sharing my screen. Take a screenshot of this. Take a picture of this. Okay. This, whoops, stop. I forgot. I need to share my PowerPoint. Hold on a second. Let's see where my PowerPoint went. Oh, I needed to switch the tab. Doing this and the technology with it is challenging. Okay, just a minute, please. Okay, here we go. Switch this and this. Okay, I got it. So here it is. Body gratitude mantra. Thank you, body. Thank you for everything that you do for me, for dialoguing with me, for being so wise. Thank you for always letting me know exactly what I need to know to grow and develop. Thank you for doing so much, going through so much, so I may grow. Body, you are so smart. You never lie. You are my greatest ally. Thank you for everything you show me. I love you, body. Thank you, body. Now, this is something for you to use and to grow with. It may not land anywhere right now. You may feel that you can't connect to the truth of this yet, but just know this is what you'll be growing into the truth of. Your body never lies. There's actually a book called Your Body Never Lies by Alice Miller. She's brilliant. I love her work. Our bodies can't lie. Our minds and the way that we've been conditioned and all of our protections and the way we needed to protect ourselves from what we were experiencing, from our pain, start to distort things. Someone commented about your body, the way you look at yourself is distorted. The way you think about yourself is distorted. The way you think about people in your life is distorted. The way so everything is distorted. So the only thing you can trust is your body. It will always tell you the truth because it's your unconscious, it's your consciousness as well that's showing you the truth. So the things that you push down and deny will come out in your body. Great. Yay. I'm glad that resonated with some of you. It's like I said, if you take away anything from this, it's that. Just start looking at it like that, appreciating your body and what it's communicating. Okay. So, distorted, yes. The body tells the truth. There's so much. I'm so excited to share with you. I'm going to go ahead and share the screen again. When I share the screen and go through the rest of the presentation and the slides, I won't be able to see the chat. So whatever comments and questions that you have, I will answer afterwards. Okay? So I think I got this down now. Okay. So just to connect with what I just shared with you, I worked with Diana for a few months and she was in a group program, and she said if I didn't have the tools to connect to my emotional needs and support myself from core emotional healing, I wouldn't have been able to tie this symptom to this pattern with men. So after she worked with us, she experienced actually Candida went away, but then she experienced a rash. And so she knew after learning the process to look up the meaning, the message, and then other symptoms that she was having at the same time. And then she saw the connection between what just happened with her ex-husband and her daughter, and then tied it in to what it meant for her. And so she was appreciating the symptoms at that point. So she said she had more opportunities to write and release and reparent herself. So she said it helped her commit to no longer engaging with unavailable men, because she realized she went kind of back into the pattern and the symptoms flared up to tell her. How amazing is that? It's like the patterns are so ingrained in us that we can't see what we're doing because we're so used to doing it. And You may address it in one place and then it shows up in another place. And then our symptoms, our body says, hey, it's happening again. It's awesome. It's like your body is your guide. Your symptoms are your guide, your healer. So core emotional healing is an experiential learning and unlearning process. I created 5 lessons that build upon each other. And it's delivered those 5 lessons in an online course called Core Emotional Healing Self-Study. And then the process you start to learn on your own and then also with me. And so you start to understand it on different levels as you apply it and as you engage with me, and understand it differently and see things that you can't see within yourself. And the experiential learning means that it's not in your mind, and you're not just talking about it. You're actually experiencing it and working it out in an experiential way in your body with your emotions. And so the process will help you reconnect to your true feelings from childhood and in the present moment. So from there, you'll reconnect also to your gifts, maybe some that you don't even know you have yet, and also your guidance system. And your guidance system is in your body. Your guidance system are your feelings. And also it reconnects you to your intuition and your intuitive gifts. So you'll notice that gets stronger. You just know things. And as you keep applying the process over time, as I discussed with my example, more layers will come up to heal. So that's really important because I want you all to embrace the journey and know that it does happen over time. You can kind of relax in worrying about how long it will take or when you are done, because you're not done. It's just deeper and deeper and more expansive as a result. So the first step is to learn the core emotional healing lessons. This is all of my clients start here. So a lot of people contact me because this is such a different type of healing, right? You're used to contacting a naturopath or a healer of sorts, practitioner, to have a session, right? One session, a lot of people contact me and say, well, I just want a private session. I can't do that, and it won't help you to have just a session with me, because you have to learn the process first, start applying it. And it takes a lot to learn this process. So I created ways to learn it more efficiently and effectively. And so all of the things I used to tell people in private clients, I put into the core emotional healing self-study. So it's things that I have taught. This whole process I created and developed based on working with groups of clients over the years. So I was running retreats in Costa Rica. Started 5 years ago, twice a year. And through the group process, I started to develop the lessons and the order of them. And then in between the retreats, I would run 60-day group programs with clients, and I developed the process further. And so after years of doing that, I created these for you to learn, and then also to learn with me as well. So, the first lesson is why your symptoms are a gift and the 3 blocks to healing. The second lesson is what is the process to heal your inner child, and what does it look like, and how do you do that? All the different ways that you do that over time. A big part of the second lesson is knowing uh, what hurt you as a child. So this is why it's um, almost impossible to do this core emotional healing process on your own, because in the second lesson, I also cover ways we protect ourselves. We had to protect ourselves in childhood. There's no way you could possibly have felt or wanted to feel the pain when you were a child. You had to push it away, deny it, disconnect from it. So what's important with the reconnection, the process to reconnect to your inner child, is reconnecting to the feelings that you had to repress. And that takes support. And that's why my husband and I do supported programs on an ongoing basis to help you process what's coming up, what you can't see, what you're not aware of, and where it comes from, and how to work with it. And the third lesson is embracing all of your emotions, which is becoming emotionally empowered. So most people are comfortable with some emotions and not comfortable with others. This lesson helps you learn why all emotions are valuable, and how to allow them, how to validate, feel them fully. And the fourth lesson is working with triggers. Emotional triggers are a healing opportunity. So this is how you heal yourself on an ongoing basis, is working with emotional triggers. So I review how to recognize when you're triggered, the source of your triggers, which is sometimes from your past, sometimes boundary violations in the present moment, sometimes they're shadow projections. The sun has come out for us again. Thank you. And the fifth lesson is codependency and boundaries, right? So this is kind of what you may know you're doing now, is like you need better boundaries to enforce boundaries, or that you're taking care of other people more than you're taking care of yourself. A lot of people try to stop doing that, but it's hard or difficult or impossible because you haven't done the previous lessons. You haven't applied, you haven't reconnected to your inner child, you haven't given your inner child what you need, because the way you are meeting your needs now is through your codependency. So it's almost impossible to try to address that before you reconnect to your feelings and learn how to take care of them and your inner child. So this is another way of looking at it. This is the core emotional healing self-study lessons. This is the process, and these are the lessons. So it's really listening to your feelings, reconnecting to your inner child, or continuing to connect to your inner child's feelings, feeling your repressed feelings fully, and then using your emotional triggers to heal yourself. And then they can also provide guidance, your triggers, for you to set boundaries, or all kinds of things, greater self-love and acceptance. And then after that, you're reconnected to your true feelings. So then you can respond on an ongoing basis based on how you feel. So your feelings then become your guidance system. So you know what's good for you, what's not. That's how you create healthy boundaries. So Diana, who I just shared before, she said, that you need support to learn the process. Diana shared, she said, I learned that core emotional healing is a process and it takes time and support. When you've been suppressing your inner child, your needs and emotions your whole life, it takes time listening to the process in the self-study and through the sessions to catch on conceptually. The sessions with me help not only to see traumatic blind spots that I had suppressed, but I also had the courage to begin releasing the feelings tied to them. It was through trusting the basic idea of expressing repressed emotions, connecting with my inner child frequently, and releasing daily triggers, that the process of core emotional healing then became evident both conceptually and experientially. Initially, I made sure to ask a lot of questions in the Facebook group from a place of wanting to learn and understand, even when I was uncomfortable. As I understood the process, getting support was essential. So I wanted to share that, something that Diana shared earlier this year, because this is really what it takes. The lessons, reaching out for support, listening to other people sharing, applying it, and then realizing things that you didn't realize before to then go further with it. So since I created the self-study, if you already have the self-study, or if you're going to start going through it, you may hear me say you have to do like a private session with me. I used to do private inner child sessions, and so people would reach out for one session, and then it just wouldn't. It's just not enough. So what it takes is just a consistent reaching out on an ongoing basis, and that's why I've created better ways to support the process since I recorded the online course, which I did a few years ago. So since then, I have created more effective and cost-effective ways to go through the process, where you feel you have consistent support on an ongoing basis. And that is what you need. That's what you needed as a child. It's like, wow, someone is always here for me. I'm getting my needs met on an ongoing basis. And that's where the healing is, but also that's where the learning comes in. You get to go through the process of learning and uncovering and discovering things that you weren't aware of with my support, with listening to other people in the group, listening to other people sharing, and then seeing how that relates to you, and then feeling encouraged by it. So it really does, core emotional healing requires ongoing support and insight and guidance to move through your defenses and protections. And that's what gets in the way. So I've had clients who in the past who've done sessions with me, it does, private session here, private session there, it just doesn't do it. A consistent support to move through your defenses and protections is what works. And then so you understand and apply the lessons too. So just think about what could change for you if you've had weekly support from me. I've been exactly where you are, and I'm able to really hold your hand and walk you through the process. Also, being a part of a community of supportive people. The people on live right now, you can already feel like the similarities that you're going through, and it feels so good to just share that. And also, as I answer questions, everyone else benefits as well. So the healing is exponential, and it's actually faster and more effective in a group. That's what I've learned over the years. That's why I do so much group work. And you get the support you needed as well that you typically don't have, you didn't have in childhood, but you also most likely don't have now. And then you have accountability too. I'm always present and aware when someone is not doing the work or falling back into old coping mechanisms and ways that you've learned to disconnect. So you have accountability and also a detailed program to follow on your own as well. So I want to invite you all into my Healing Candida class. It's a 6-week class that I created based on surveying a lot of people, my whole community I surveyed, and asked what they needed. So everything that I've created based on people's needs. It's really a part of what I do is meeting your needs, making sure your needs are met. So I've created all of the lessons based on what I saw people need to learn. I created all the handouts based on what I saw people needed to work with. And now I created this Healing Candida class. It's a 6-week class, so you have access to me based on what everyone said they wanted. So I had a lot of people who had my core emotional healing self-study that were trying to do it alone, and either they just felt alone in the process and they had a lot of questions for me, but they didn't have a lot of money to work with me, on an ongoing basis, and the other programs I had with my husband, or they couldn't afford ongoing private sessions with me. So they felt alone or confused of what to do. Other people couldn't finish it on their own. So I know a lot of people just don't have a lot of motivation to do online courses. So I listened to everyone in terms of what they needed, and I created the 6-week class. So you have access to me every week on live calls, or you can also listen to the recorded calls, and you can ask me questions in the Facebook group. So there's a private Facebook group only for the 6-week class. And so you can ask me questions and I may answer them right in the Facebook group. And you may, or I may say, I'll answer this in more detail on the call, the weekly call. So what we'll do is each week you'll have the 5 lessons in the core emotional healing process. Plus there's bonuses in the core emotional healing self-study. There's a journaling workshop. There's inner parent handouts. There's an inner child meditation. There's a lot of bonuses in there. So before each call, you'll review the first lesson. So the first call, you'll review the first lesson, and then we'll review it together. I'll answer questions and make sure you understand it and apply it. Then before the second call, you'll have already listened to or watched the second lesson, so we can talk about that. So you'll be able to really more fully understand what you're learning with my help and how to apply it for yourself. And I'm going to give you some bonuses too, because I also listened to what people needed. And I also know what people need as well. So after the 6-week class, as long as you've participated and you finished the core emotional healing self-study, you participated in the Facebook group, you've watched the recordings on the weekly class calls, then you'll get a 45-minute private session with me. And because this process does take time to understand it, like Diana said, conceptually, then experientially, as you apply it, you'll understand it in a new way, and you may have more questions or more things will come up. So I'm offering for you to take the 6-week Candida, Healing Candida class again another time for free. So you can join at another time in the future when I offer it to revisit the lessons and get extra support from me, because it's an ongoing process. It's an ongoing healing journey. So this is really valuable. These 2 bonuses are extremely valuable. So when I offered my last group programs like this, I charged $2,000. But with everything that's going on and with everyone's situation, I really want to make this affordable. So I am inviting you to join now for only $500 for everything. So you'll get the core emotional healing self-study. If you already bought that, you'll get a coupon for what you already paid for it. So you get that money off. Plus you'll have 60-minute group calls with me, just Q&A, basically answering questions based on what you're learning and applying on your own. You'll have the recording of those to keep, and the core emotional healing self-study and those recordings will all be in one place. You'll have a platform, your own password to access that, and you'll have lifetime access to that as well. So you'll have everything in one place to review and to keep reviewing. And then you'll also have the private Facebook group for the 6 weeks, where you'll have access to me during those 6 weeks, plus the private session, plus you can join again another time for just $500. So that's the most affordable thing I have offered in terms of a supported program. So I am, for everyone who's here live and, just go to, and also listening to the recording, go to this webpage, aliciamiller.com/healing Candida. So you can see all of the details, you can read about it, you can sign up there, and you can see the dates. We're closing the registration this week and starting next week. But if you're seeing this recording at another time, just make sure you go there to see where we are, what program we're doing, when it's starting, seeing all the details of the dates and the times. And it does take time and support, as I've been emphasizing this whole time. I just wanted to share another client of mine. After working with me, she wrote me and she said, I realized, it was a couple months after working with me, and she said, I finally realized I really struggle being able to identify the traumas and adaptations, which you've explained is normal and a difficult thing to do, which is why I'm so grateful to be working with you on the course. I also realized I have strong feelings of not getting it or doing it wrong. And I put a lot of pressure on myself because I desperately want to heal and move forward. But I do feel that everything is starting to sink in and make a lot more sense. And I'm starting to understand the whole process. And I can see the small improvements in my life every day. So it does all of a sudden start to click, things start to shift. And this, I just wanted to share, she wrote me, the same woman, client wrote me and said, after a couple months of working with me consistently on this pattern, she had already done a lot of the inner child healing. And then this next step was really changing the pattern that she was in, that was keeping her in her own old wounds and patterns. She said she was making a decision that she thought was going to be good for her. This is why I said, like, your body doesn't lie, because those distortions in your mind start, the old patterns, the ways that you think is good for you or what you need or want, can be coming from that old wound of still trying to get the love you needed from the wrong person, or trying to do it in the way that they want you to do it when you're not even realizing it. Or it may come from trying to take care of other people and you may not even realize it's at your own expense. So she said she was making a decision that she thought was good for her. She said, my yeast infection flared up. I normally get anxious, frustrated, and upset when this happens. But I tried to stay calm. And instead I said, okay, body, I'm listening. What are you trying to tell me? I was obviously repeating a pattern, and I kept hearing your words that I always put everyone first before myself. I thought about my plan, and even though it was a good plan, I came up with the plan, and she realized she came up with this plan after putting everyone's needs before her own. And it was a blind spot for her. So she realized that because her symptoms flared up, that it wasn't good for her. And so she decided to take time away and time for herself for the first time in her life. So once she made the decision and moved forward with it, her yeast infection went away. And then she felt joy and happiness, like she did the impossible. Like it was like things that she could never do before, because she was already taking care of her emotional needs. So this is something she said she would never ever do, and leave in the middle of the year. She was working and she decided to leave a narcissistic pattern. And so she said, I was always too overly responsible. And then she said she spoke to her sister that evening, and her sister said to her, "It's so nice to hear you happy. I haven't heard this happiness in your voice in a very long time." Yeah. So just wanted to share also the healing power of group support, because I do find that a lot of people don't want to do group support. And there's many reasons why. And that all comes from your childhood experience of being shamed for sharing something vulnerable or asking for something. So then you decided not to share anymore and to keep it in. But the power and the healing that comes from being in a supportive and safe group can heal those wounds. So I just want to share a couple things that my clients have said over the years. Stephanie said, "It's incredible hearing other people's perspectives. It gives me so much better insight into myself. Being a part of a group exponentially helped me grasp and implement the concepts from the program." Because you will learn from other people, other people's shares, and other people's questions. Patricia, she said she she went through all of her old posts in the Facebook group, and she was like, whoa, that's when she realized that she had progressed so much. She was like, holy shit, I'm blown away by the growth I've achieved. She said, I started out pretty hopeless, and now I'm feeling like an empowered woman who's in charge of her life. And the transformation of the relationship with my inner child is unbelievable. Over here with tears, basking in my success. As always, thank you, Alicia Miller, for sharing your wisdom, Patricia. And finally, I just want to share, Ellie said core emotional healing is not a quick fix. It's something that will change you to the core for the better. Alicia's work is revolutionary for this reason. So few solutions were offered today get to the actual root of the problem, but core emotional healing does. So I just again want to invite you all to join me, because I do provide the map for you. I give you what it takes and the lessons to learn, and I'll be holding your hand and be by your side so you can get yourself to the other side and continue to experience a whole new way of being and feeling for yourself. So I am gonna go back to the chat box and see how everyone's doing. If you have any questions. Any comments, questions? I know we went over. Thank you so much, everyone, for staying with me and taking this in. It's really important, valuable information. It may resonate with a lot of you. It may be what you kind of already knew. It may be new for some of you as well. So it can be a lot to take in. It's a whole different way of healing. So someone asked, I wonder about dissociation. Yes, great question. I don't remember most of my childhood. Will I be able to connect to my inner child? Yes. So I still don't remember most of my childhood. And you don't have to have specific memories. And I'll be helping you with how to access your repressed emotions, your feelings from childhood, based on many different things, based on your symptoms, based on your current relationships and triggers, based on what you know about how your parents have always been, so I can help you connect to how that felt for yourself and feel it and what your inner child needs from you. So and I just want to say it depends also. The normal dissociation versus, if I just want to make a little side note here, disclaimer with that question, if you actually are missing pieces or periods of time, that's different. That's more extreme. Normal dissociation is just not having memories because you dissociated from what was happening, but you most likely know, and you most likely are already feeling what hurt you, how your parents treated you that hurt you, and I'll help you see it more clearly. So, and I'll give you an example. Like I had a client who, I had actually two clients at the same time which is great because they were able to see it through each other's experiences, but both of their fathers left them when they were like 5 years old, and they never felt anything from that. But they were just working with how their moms impacted them. So I just help them, and all it takes sometimes is validating how that felt, how they just didn't connect with them, and then just the validation of being abandoned, and the anger of that, reconnecting to how sad and angry you are that this is in that example that her father left and didn't come back or didn't stay in touch. And then sometimes it's just like that, all of a sudden it's like, yeah. And then that's why I keep attracting these guys who are unavailable. So yeah, there's a lot of information I can help you with in terms of your patterns, your triggers, your symptoms that can help you. So this is the reason why your symptoms and your triggers are a gift, and also your patterns in your relationships, is because those are your gateway into your unconscious. It will help. All of that information helps you go in. Helps you reconnect to what you disconnected from in childhood. Thank you, Claudia. It was wonderful to have you and all of your questions and comments. And she said, I created a sequence of work along with being a nurturer in a group where people can feel safe. Yes, thank you. I also wanted to say, kind of lastly, everyone's different. If I haven't stressed this enough yet, everyone's different in terms of your level of awareness, maybe in terms of how aware you are of your childhood, what hurt you, what was wrong or dysfunctional, and also how strong your protections are. So I want to say that, I had done 8 years of healing when I finally got to my final piece for my Candida, at least. And then my healing continued, of course. But I just wanted to say that I had already done a lot of work on but the things that I wasn't aware of in childhood. So again, if you've done a lot of therapy and you've done a lot of other modalities that have helped you uncover things, may go a little bit quicker than someone who's not done any of that yet. And that's okay. I work with everyone, no matter what stage of awareness you are. And I'll give you an example of this woman, a client who is working with Doug and I in a 6-month program that we have that's supported, where it's very small groups where everyone shares and we process every week with people. And I have a client there who tried to work with me for 2 years with private sessions. This is an example of why private sessions are not as effective as consistent supported group work. But she tried to do it off and on and just couldn't get to it. And then finally she went into the group program, and now she finally broke through after months of consistent supported work. The I wanted to say the codependency pattern, but also the resistance to looking at what she was doing and how she was keeping herself there, and what she was putting up with, and the reality of it all, and accessing more feelings from childhood. So that is kind of one of those cases where she wasn't doing any work at all when she first started approaching it. And over the years, and then every time, she started seeing more and more, and now she's fully getting out of it. Other people I know just have a lot of awareness and healing abilities and insight, go through it quickly as well. Do I ever feel like I'm close to falling back into old patterns? Is that the question? Because everyone falls back. Okay, everyone falls back into old patterns. And it's an interesting way of saying it, and I want to say it in a different way. We engage in our patterns, and it's, healing is a spiral. So, and you may have heard this, but it's like you do this, and you've seen my logo. It's in the core emotional healing process. It's all a spiral, because it's like you touch into something, like one layer, and then you're able to access more layers, and then deeper layers. And then all of a sudden it's like, oh my gosh, something else comes up, and it's like, whoa, I've been engaging in this and I couldn't even see it. So it's not so much fall back, it's just a process of uncovering things as they come up. Yes, I have definitely been in patterns that it's like the subtle things that come up now. It's like the subtle ways that I'm still, what I allow, or maybe some feelings that come up, or I want the people who reject me to like me, think like these little subtle things that come up that I'm not engaged in totally, but it's like this desire may come up, and I'm like, no, wait. And then I'll focus my energy on the people who really see me and support me. But of course, like these little things will come up sometimes. Doug and I are healing from our patterns on an ongoing basis. So I wouldn't say falling back in old patterns, but we're engaged in our patterns to clear them. My codependent patterns, like the big ones, I have really fully addressed. Like I said, with work was a huge blind spot for me a few years ago. And then I had a friend that was a huge blind spot for me. That was like a mother pattern that I couldn't see, that was like 2 years ago. So, and then once you get to those and you keep doing that, like from both of those, so much has happened. Like so much more of my truth has come out. So much more of my joy has come out. Every time you clear a pattern, more and more happens. Okay, we are coming up at 2 hours. So it was really great to share everything with you today. I really appreciate you even being here and learning about it, just to have in your awareness to do things differently now, to see things differently, to be with yourself in a different way. I'm super, super excited for any of you who are joining my Healing Candida class. I can't wait to work with you and to take your hand and really walk you through the process so you can heal fully. All the information I shared with you is exactly what you need to know to begin the process, to begin what it takes. Each step of the way, I'll be here for you with any of the patterns that come up for you, and I'm really patient. I've helped clients see it, and then they're not ready to see it or deal with it, and then I just help them move through whatever they need to do to be ready. But this is really important, not only for you, but for everyone around you, all of your partners, your spouses, your children, your family members. Through my healing, I have shifted all of the relationships in my family and Doug's family. So this is really important, not only for you, but for humanity. We're dealing with so much at this time, all of the shadow in the world, the dysfunction, the fear, the repressed inequality is up right now, that is coming up. It's like reflected of individual inequality and pain and fear and anger. So it's all related. So again, not so much about Candida, but Candida is a gift to help you see what you need to do to be free from it and to live in a different way. So everyone needs deep healing now more than ever. And your symptoms are motivating you to do it. So we had a comment that she had a realization that if she had the money, I would not. Okay, if I had the money, I would not buy this because I'm expecting myself to do it myself. Okay. Instead of getting the assistance of someone who wants to be there and has gone through it. This is my protection, to not need others. This is a really important one because it's a very common one. Definitely. Thank you so much for sharing this. And relive the expectation of, instead of my own emotions by myself, instead of sharing it with others. So how do I break this cycle? I think I understand what you're saying. So a lot of people feel like they need to do it themselves because that is a pattern from childhood, because you had to do everything yourself and you couldn't rely on or trust support. So you learn to do it yourself and not trust support. And that's why it's so important to be supported and to learn how to share and to get your needs met. Yeah. So that's it. It's, to break that cycle and to heal from that is to move to what you just did is perfect. It's like you're now aware of the pattern and why you want to do it your way. And hopefully through everything that I've shared, you can see that way is going to keep you where you are. And doing it, and this is what I always recommend, do what you don't want to do, because that's going to be what's actually going to help you and help you feel safe. Like if you feel fear around sharing, by sharing in a safe space, you're actually going to feel safe because you're actually going to get what you need to help you feel safe and supported. What I do and what all of psychoanalysis is dealing with resistance. So everything is about helping you move through your resistance. So I'm always going to encourage you to share when you don't want to share. I'm going to encourage you to journal and write when you don't want to write, but not in a very supportive way, just encouraging you to, you can do this and this is how you can do it and how easy it can be. I'm going to encourage you to feel feelings that you don't want to feel. And that's this whole process of doing the things that you haven't done yet and haven't been able to do yet, but you haven't had the right support yet, or you haven't even known what to do yet. Yeah, extreme independence is a trauma response. I know that very well, but I also have always reached out for healing because I had a desire to heal. And that's all you need, is a desire to heal and to be with someone who can help you heal. To be supported by me to help you go through the process. That may feel really uncomfortable at first, but it's going to be the best thing that you do. And yeah, you can pay in 2 payments. You can email me if there's other needs that you have, but this is the most affordable way to be supported through this process. So just let me know if you have any questions, but I'm really excited to work with you all, and thank you so much, and hope to hear from you and support you and put your testimonial up at some point of your breakthroughs and your huge shifts for yourself. All right, sending you all lots of love to you, and remember, you've already showed up for your inner child by being here today. So you can just know that you're already starting to listen to your inner child's needs by learning about this now. Okay, thank you so much. Bye.